Why don't we go ahead and get started? Mr. Coley, if you will note that Commissioner Worden cannot be with us today. Commissioner Small will come in on two wheels soon. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the August 19 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Simpson Brown moves. Commissioner Herbert seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved. First official action for today is consideration on second reading of Resolution 1441. I'll recognize Gabe.
Thank you, Chair Askew. Commissioners, I would like to recognize Mark Walker, our Senior Vice President and CFO, to go over the details of the second reading for the rate increases. Also, he will follow up with that with a first reading on the use of the TVA pandemic relief credits that will be we just got word of. So he'll have two resolutions for you to cover today.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today we do present for your consideration on second and final reading the proposed 3% electric rate increases that will be used to help fund our ongoing electric System Century 2 infrastructure programs and also to help fund the build-out of the fiber network for our electric distribution system. So I just got a couple of slides just to some reminders here. Again, they are 3% annual rate increases. The first will go into effect in April of 2022, then followed by April of 23 and April of 24. For the average residential electric customer who uses about 1,100 kilowatt hours of electric power per month, the total impact of all three increases on the monthly bill is about $10.80, with 2/3 of that, or $7.20, going to help fund Century 2, and then $3.60, or 1/3, going to fund the build-out of the fiber network and the ongoing maintenance once it is built out. For our business customers, our commercial and industrial electric customers, the impacts on their monthly bill will vary and maybe vary widely because we have some very small commercial customers and then you've got some very large commercial and industrial customers. But it'll vary based upon the amount of their monthly usage. And then a very key point, of course, is, as we've talked about several times, once we get beyond April of 24, we're not anticipating or foreseeing any additional electric rate increases over the next 7 years or the duration of our long-range plan. And we hope to maybe extend beyond that as well. So just a couple of reminders about our residential, the increases for residential customers. The three increases are going to be applied solely to the energy or commodity usage rate, the KWH rate. There will be no change or no increase on the fixed monthly basic service charge, as you know. And then you can see on the chart on the right, what's highlighted is the average usage, the 1,100 kilowatt hours, so you can see about $10.80. The key point really we wanted to show on this chart is over half of our residential electric customers use less than the system average, so over half will see less than the $10.80. For instance, you see there's about 10% of our customers that use 300 kilowatt hours or less on a monthly basis. The impact of all three increases will be actually less than $3 for those customers. And then really to sum up, Resolution 1440, is there a question? It's on the monthly bill, yes, on the monthly bill, that's correct. So Resolution 1441, today on second and final reading, does adopt the three electric rate increases. So it does adopt rate schedules that will go into effect in April of 22, 23, and 24. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Because of the rate increases, there have been a lot more conversation in town, and some of the calls I've gotten, I think I've been able to handle. But one person asked, and I just couldn't remember the answer, former public official, said if with these increased rates somebody decides to go completely solar by putting solar panels on their roof and getting completely off the grid, do they still have to pay the flat fee?
The fixed monthly service charge, to the extent that they're still a customer of ours, and some, yeah, because they'd still be connected to our system, So yes, the fixed monthly basic service charge would still be applicable.
What
That's
I
correct.
told him I thought that was the
Yes.
answer, but I didn't know for sure.
That's correct.
Okay, other questions? I'll entertain a motion to pass on second reading, Resolution 1441.
So moved.
Moved by...
Second. I'll do the second.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Herbert, seconded by Commissioner Hamilton. Any further discussion? Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Oh, Mr. Coley, you need to call the roll.
Commissioner Askew.
Aye.
Commissioner Caballero.
Aye.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Aye.
Commissioner Herbert.
Aye.
Commissioner Simpson Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Small.
Aye.
Resolution 1441 is passed on second reading.
Very good.
So Commissioners, our next item, usually if we're amending the purchase power adjustment, that doesn't really necessarily bring good news, but today I think it does bring good news for our customers. Just a little background, you will recall about this time last year, TVA announced that they would be providing pandemic relief financial assistance to their local power companies and to their direct serve customers. And we have been receiving credits on our wholesale power invoice for the last 12 months. You may also recall, with your approval, we used 100% of our standard service cost credits, which was over $7 million, to help our customers struggling to pay their bills due to the pandemic. And most of that was through the CURE program, our COVID utility relief effort in coordination with CAC. And to date, just as a reminder, we have helped over 9,200 customers with those funds. So it's been a big help to our customers. But today's really the good news is last month the TVA board at their August meeting announced or adopted an extension of the pandemic relief assistance for another 12-month period. In total, that's $220 million to be allocated out among the local power companies in the valley and also their direct serve customers. For KUB, we're estimating our allocation will be about $8.5 million. It does come in the form of two different credits. One is power cost credits for standard service customers, basically, and that's estimated to be $7.3 million. And then the other bucket is the credits for our non-standard customers, which is estimated to be around $1.2 million. We break that out because the use of those credits, we really have no discretion for the non-standard, the $1.2 million. We are required by TVA to flow those directly through to our non-standard customers. You may ask, well, what's a non-standard customer? That is our largest commercial and industrial electric customers. We have 10 of those accounts, and you have to use at least 5,000 kW a month to be able to be considered a non-standard customer. So, how are we proposing to use the $7.3 million, basically, is what we wanted to talk to you about today. We are proposing to use $1.3 million to make funds available to customers that have outstanding payment arrangements for past due balances accrued during the pandemic. By last count, we have just under 2,000 customers on outstanding payment arrangements, and that equals just under $1.3 million. So that's why we sized it the way that we did. So the average, if you do the math, it's about $640 on the outstanding balance on that. Now, we will be working with CAC, coordinating our efforts with them. TVA rules basically state we need to use a third party to help administer the financial assistance for this. So we've already had a meeting with CAC on Tuesday. Tiffany and I met with Barbara Kelly. So those wheels are in motion. But the objective is to have the process be as simple as possible for our customers. So we envision that KUB will notify those approximately 2,000 customers through email or through letter. And then they will be instructed to contact the appropriate folks at CAC. CAC confirms that there is an outstanding payment arrangement, and then they'll let us know and we'll apply the credit. So basically there's no application process. If you have an outstanding payment arrangement, once we confirm it, you're going to get the credit on that. So that's one piece of it.
And
Do we
the
ask
credit
questions
will
now?
erase the balance?
Yes, basically, yes, sir. It just goes
So when
away.
you say outstanding pre-arrangement, so what if if someone is behind in the bill and they don't have an arrangement, then they're not considered? Tell me what the language you mean when you talk about that.
Yes, if they're on an existing payment arrangement for a past due bill, so they will have
So
called in and
everybody who's
said,
past due automatically has a payment arrangement? No.
no.
Okay.
No, you have to work with our customer service folks to be able to go on a payment arrangement, yes.
So if I have a past due balance, I'm not on a payment arrangement, I can't be considered.
That would be correct. We've zeroed in on those that have the outstanding payment arrangements on that.
Will we be able to then work with those who have an outstanding balance, don't have a payment arrangement, to get them on a payment arrangement so then they could be considered? Because I think that I think we want to help, but I think if we don't consider those folks who might have some of the most need but may not be in this payment arrangement, we're still going to be leaving folks behind. And with this credit, I want to do as much good as we can possibly do.
You remember, though, we really worked hard. We automatically put everybody with an outstanding balance.
Everybody
on
with
payment
an
plan.
outstanding balance last October, we put on a payment arrangement on that. But there are folks out there that have past due balances that are not on payment arrangements today. But I would say, with respect to those folks, we still have funds remaining from last year's pandemic credits that we have allocated out. We have probably over $1 million that is still to be used, and that would go to help those customers with past due balances on that.
So are we still then actively, this may be a Tiffany question, are we still actively then trying to get those folks with outstanding balances onto a payment plan so that we can then use the remaining credits that we have to support them?
I'll defer to Tiffany on the
Yes.
specifics of that. But
So as we have customers contact us with concerns, we are still setting up payment arrangements. We are still directing them to funding that we know is available in the community. Our cure allocation is a little less than that $1 million, but we still have that $1 million set aside. So any funds that we still have sitting in cure, we will direct customers to that immediately and say, hey, if a payment arrangement isn't the right thing for you, let's get you over to cure. The Knox County has a Knox Housing Assistance Program specific to renters for utility bill assistance, so we're directing customers to that as well. And then Project Help has a lot of funds. So we're still doing the work that we've always done to make sure we're connecting people to resources. I think the intent of this new program is for those customers that we know we set up on an extended payment plan. They're trying their best to make that payment each month and still keep up with their regular bill. We're going to go ahead and waive or pay off that balance, but we will continue to work with customers that are not in that situation but still need help.
And I remember at one point we were proactively reaching out to those who had balances. Are we still doing that on our front end, or now we're requiring them to reach out to us and then we'll put them on?
So we're requiring them to reach out to us at this point. When we did that initial setup of automatic payment arrangement, it was a direct contact with them to let them know what was happening, what they needed to do, and if that arrangement wasn't going to meet their needs, to call us. At this point, we're somewhat back to normal business in the sense that as people have concerns, they're reaching out to us, and then we're finding solutions one-on-one for them versus sending out kind of a blast communication about what needs to happen. But we have not stopped doing what our pandemic relief efforts have done. To answer your question, we're going to continue to help people as much as we can. But our hope with this program is to ensure that those folks that were on those extended plans can kind of get relief from that and kind of start at ground zero, for lack of a better word. So now they're just paying their monthly bill. And they may get into a situation 6 months from now where they're going to need help, and we would still be available to walk them through whatever needs to happen at that point.
Last comment. I think when the pandemic happened and we were being really proactive at identifying, I think that as we talk about practices that the pandemic then encouraged us to do that we could keep or should keep doing, I know that it might be, I don't know, it will be labor intensive, but for us to continue to be proactive with reaching out to people who have past due balances, who we can say, listen, this is an opportunity for you versus waiting for them to connect with us. I think that's something that we should certainly adopt, moving forward, that came out of the pandemic. So that, for the record, I just want us to talk about that.
Thank you.
You know, one of the objectives we wanted to be able to use these credits for was to, because last year when we got it, we targeted all the $7 million plus for our standard service credits to those customers struggling to pay their bills. We wanted to use a portion of this credit to basically flow back to all customers. In particular, since we're raising rates 3% each year for the next 3 years on all customers, we wanted to let that flow back. So we designated $6 million. That's sort of how the math began. We went first to, okay, what can we do for those customers struggling to pay their bills, the idea about the outstanding payment arrangements. So if we do that $1.3 million for that, what's left, $6 million can flow back to all our customers, both residential and non-residential that are standard service customers, and we have over 200,000 of those, as you may know. So and that would just flow through the PPA. The rates would go down on a monthly basis over the course of the next 12 months. And for the average residential customer, that's about $1.40 savings on their monthly bill, $17 for the full year. So, yes, ma'am.
And with that, I guess I'm wondering if there is a way that customers could possibly donate that. So kind of like how there was a lot happening with when we had the relief last year, a lot of folks said, I wasn't impacted in this situation. I'd like to give this to people that were impacted. I'm thinking, if it's $17, there are so many people in our community that would say, I already paid that. It's $17 is not going to make or break a lot of people in our community. Because I guess for me, 6 million versus 1.3 million, I think there are many people in our community that would be happy to say, you know what, I would like to give this back. And how could that affect possibly more of our weatherization programs? Because we know that's a very sustainable way of helping people reduce their bills. I don't know what that would look like logistically.
I think the best way to do that would be through just communication efforts. And then people could increase their contribution to Project Help or through some other means. Because the way it flows through the rates, you just can't exempt people out. It would have to go through, because we're going to change the rate we charge everybody for residential or small commercial or mid-sized commercial. So it's just going to flow through on their bill. But if we do a communication effort of some type and they recognize what they're getting, and if they want to donate or contribute an additional amount to Project Help or through some other means, and that would probably be the best, most
How would I,
effective
as a
way to do
consumer,
that.
know that I'm going to be getting this credit every month? Like, how will we know? Or do we just get less, we just get charged less?
Your bill will be lower than it otherwise would be.
But I'm not
yes.
informed necessarily. We don't have a communication in place that says because of this relief, you are now getting.
I think we'd do some type of communication plan to just let people know how we're handling the credit, and then, a portion of it's going to be flowed back to all customers, so there'll be a slight reduction in their monthly bill. Yes. But there won't be a line item on the bill that says $1.40 or something such as that.
Do you think on the part of the bill that has the Project Help banner, that we could come up with some verbiage saying, is your rate has been adjusted, down by X percent, and if you would like to make an additional contribution to Project Help?
We do have message space on our billing. I have to defer to those who know more about it than I do as far as how much space we have, but we could put some type of message to that effect.
Because that would trigger someone when they looked at it to know, hey, I've got an extra, $5
Right.
that I've saved, and I'm going to put that into my Project Help donation.
Sure.
And then also, how does that get communicated to people who have their payments on automatic? Because I don't see a bill. So how do I get communication about that? And I just think it's great for people to know that there is this reduction. Like, I will be happy, but if no one tells me, I won't even notice that it's happening, right?
Sure.
But thank you.
Sure.
There are definitely ways that we can communicate to both sets of audiences. So the bill message would still be there for our paperless billing customers, but you're right, many of our paperless billing customers don't ever open that paperless bill. And so we have their contact information. We have their email address as a result of them being paperless. So we could think about an email campaign to let them know what's happened and if they'd like to contribute, how to do that.
I do think we probably, I love the ideas. I think we probably don't need to get our hopes up for a lot of money just because this is a $1.40 in the context of a 3% increase. So it's still an increase in their monthly rate. So it's not as big as it would be, but it's still bigger. But I think anything we can do to encourage people to help with Project Help, we ought to do.
That's always good advice, yes. So, Resolution 1446, we do need to amend our purchase power adjustment mechanism, really to be able to use the 1.3 million as we've proposed. The rest just flows through the PPA as it's currently written, but we do need to make an exception for that, and thus the need to amend 1446. It does require 2 readings because it is rate related. And so today's first reading, if approved today, will come back in October. That also gives us time to work out the details and the processes with CAC, our communication plan to the customers that are going to be impacted by this as well. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Any other questions for Mark? I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1446 on first reading. Commissioner Caballero moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Herbert seconds. Is there anyone from the community who'd like to speak on this resolution? Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Caballero's remarks. I remember when you were making them, you were going like this, weighing 6 million versus 1.3 million. And it seemed to me what the gist of it was, well, couldn't we take some of that 6 million and move it over into the 1.3 million category? It's relief. I'm like you, $1.40 a month ain't gonna make any difference in my family either. And hey, you triggered me, I'll contribute it, to the rounded up or something, but the purpose is relief. And for many people, $1.40 a month doesn't really constitute relief. Could you actually rearrange the sums?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any further discussion on the motion? Big part?
Any further discussion for the commissioners?
Yes.
Yeah, I just, again, I'll underscore that, as we think about relief, just, what I said earlier is making sure that we can contact those, even those who may not be already on some specified plan, to make sure that we really do meet the need out there. I will tell you that, the pandemic has hit people hard, and if we can do what we need to do to help them, I think that'd be beneficial, so.
Mr. Coley, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Askew.
Aye.
Commissioner Caballero.
Aye.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Aye.
Commissioner Herbert.
Aye.
Commissioner Simpson Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Small.
All right.
Resolution 1446 is passed on first reading.
All right, now we'll have our president's report. Mr. Bolus.
Thank you, Commissioners. I do want to introduce Jamie Davis, our Chief Technology Officer and Vice President, to give you an update on what we're working on as far as the fiber deployment. He has some details to share with you as we start ramping up for this big endeavor.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good to be with you. As you can imagine, we're working fast and furious since we received approval from our regulatory authorities. And the question we always get asked nowadays is, where are you going to go first? And so I'm pleased to share with you all today that we're going to have some information for you, kind of telling you exactly where we are going to go. And so we've always set out these guideposts for our deployment, and using those, we've talked to many in our community as quickly as we could, whether it be the school system, whether it be E-Task Force with the Chamber, whether it be our community advisory panel, about their thoughts about where we should be going first with this. And as we talk about this today, there's always going to be somebody that wants it first. We all do. And unfortunately, there's somebody that won't get it first. And so what we've tried to do is strike a balancing act as it relates to where we're going to go. And as you'll see on the screen, we've talked about this for a while, but obviously we have fiber that we've already deployed about 150 to 200 miles in our system. We want to leverage where we're at already today. That's a good place to start. We've always said this and continue to highlight it, and this board has continued to really bring it to our attention, that indeed this is for utility need. The electric division and our electric customers will benefit greatly from this. And so we know, as we've told you all, where our lesser performing circuits are, where we want to try some of these piloted projects that we've talked about with those utility applications. And so we know where we want to do that as well too. But much like the public power model and just like what we do in storms, we've got to get in theory, in a storm mode, we get most people in critical infrastructure back on first and get the most people on as quick as we can. And so that's one of our guideposts early, is impacting those as many as we can early and often. But I like the way that Chair Askew has talked about this, and many of you all as well too, is this is a hard issue as well, as it specifically relates to broadband. And one of the things that we continue to hear in our research is there's really this notion of unserved and underserved. And those are really two different populations if you think about it. And we're starting to understand and learn more about those populations. But unserved meanings maybe what we're kind of used to, where folks have deemed, like from an FCC map perspective, where the fiber's simply not there, or where folks don't have service at all. But there's also the notion of underserved, pockets inside our community, inside the very beltway, that either the service hadn't been extended to their particular property, and many times we hear of it's a couple spans of wire, away, or whether the service that is provided to them is simply not adequate based upon the demands of what we need today to do what we have to do with broadband. And then that last lens, as we've talked about, is the forecast of grants. This is important at every level of government. Both the state has put significant funding, proposing significant funding for the expansion of broadband, along with the infrastructure proposals that you're hearing from the Biden administration that are still in Congress, still being discussed. We know that indeed we anticipate money would be coming down for broadband expansion. We just don't know when. And so that could help and hurt our timeline depending upon when that comes. But indeed, the availability of grants kind of helps slate where we think we'll be going first in that particular regard. So what we have here on screen is a map with our first proposed areas. The areas are general in nature, so don't think you can zoom in and see an address just yet. So to speak, but of note, you would imagine that a lot of our fiber indeed is where our core infrastructure is. They're kind of, I'll call it in the beltway of Knoxville. You'll see it there in the downtown area. We know in that little further west area we have reliability concerns as well too, and then up in the upper northeast and what we'll call the Luttrell area, we know that we believe that area will be applicable for some grant as well too. And again, each of these areas really kind of checks one of those 5 filters, if you will, from the previous slide. Of note, this phase 1 deployment reaches about 25% of our electric customer base. It's about 1,000 miles of fiber, total capital expenditures right about $80 million. For this phase 1 deployment, we think we're looking at a time frame to construct somewhere between 18 and 24 months. And again, depending upon the timeline and area could very well change, be more of an add and an instead of, if you will, if indeed grants are available in a meaningful way. So I'll pause there. I'll give you some facts about these areas here in just a second, but wanted to pause just a second and see if there's a question. Just
for reference, could you, Gabe or somebody, I don't know if you have a pointer, where's downtown again, just to make sure that everybody knows what we're talking.
Boy, what an unsteady hand. If you kind of right in that area, you can see 640, kind of like this.
So we are talking about East Knoxville is going to be in the first.
Yes, and I'll give you, and we can talk specifically the areas at a different level if we need to, but what's interesting, I think, as far as the facts it relates to these areas, 25 of 75 Knox County schools that are in our service territory, I think they have about 94 schools in total. Obviously, some of those are outside our particular electric service territory. But inside KUB, 25 of the 75 Knox County schools, 9 of the 16 designated community schools by Knox County, and then all 3 of UTK's flagship high schools would be in this phase 1 deployment area. Moving over to flagship Austin East, Fulton, and Central. Am I right, Ty? Very good. From a reliability perspective, again, addressing that utility need, 11 of our worst performing circuits, we kind of break that up in thirds. 50 right now circuits are what we're focusing on. So this phase 1 deployment addresses 11 of those worst performing circuits. Folks inside this phase 1 deployment experienced about 3.8 hours, let's just say almost 4 hours of interruption on an annual basis. If you think about almost cutting that in half, that's meaningful. So we're excited about that from a pure utility perspective. To really address kind of that, the notion of both serving the most people the first and also addressing that underserved and unserved component, We took a look at it through the filter of census districts, and we have 20 distressed census districts in our service territory. So that also expands into a couple districts outside of Knox County proper, but this phase one addresses deployment in 17 of those 20 distressed districts. And that's generally through income level and so forth and so on. So again, addressing kind of that heart issue that we've addressed before. And then again, predominantly in that upper northeast quadrant on the map, we project that, and I'll talk about grants at a more deeper level in just a second, but about $5 million we would be eligible for, we project, in state dollars in that upper area up there.
So rural grant?
Rural, it would be the state grant which addresses rural broadband in that particular regard. If the maps change, if the definition of broadband hopefully up from that 25.3 speed up to at least 100, that could expand and or expand exactly what might be eligible. So we're waiting on final rules in that regard.
Well, I know one mayor who's going to be really happy.
Yeah. If you I'll flip back to the map again. We're stepping into that area. You can kind of see the gray shaded area. Portions of Granger and Union are still, we won't get everything right out to this gate in phase one, but indeed we will establish a presence. And I believe Washburn School is actually in that deployment area as well. So that's another school. They have a K through 12 campus in that area that would be deployed to, that we wouldn't be hitting, or that we would be hitting in phase one rather.
I do think, for reference, for people who don't know maps, saying that Austin East, Fulton, and Central, the areas around those high schools, that's very helpful for a lot of people who are concerned from a social justice perspective.
Yes. And I think the stat that also speaks to the for those that are familiar with the community schools hitting, 2/3 of those community schools, 9 of the 16, those feeder schools for those communities are well represented in this population as well too. Lonsdale Communities, Beaumont, so forth and so on. So that's the map there. Do want to talk about grants for a second, kind of what's been on that horizon. I know that's important to all of us. Again, you've heard about the federal infrastructure discussions that have been going on. Again, the number that's still in the proposed legislation is $65 billion for broadband. That's about $42.5 billion for deployment and about $14 million for the emergency broadband benefit. That was a benefit, the old Lifeline benefit that has been with us forever as a nation. It used to be for phone service. They expanded it during the pandemic to $50 a month for your broadband service if you qualified. In the legislation, they have removed the pandemic provisions and they have lowered the benefit in order to make it a permanent benefit. So that will definitely be something we keep an ear to the ground on. Providers have to apply to be part of that program. As it's stated today, it will be KUB's intent to obviously be part of that. So again, helping folks obtain service or assistance for service, rather in that particular regard. That would be separate from our other low-income programs. So that's an and not an or in that particular regard. As you imagine, with all the federal legislation right now, the details are very, very fluid and the timing is very uncertain. What we do know, though, is the agency, it would flow through the first step in that process. You've heard me say before that the FCC maps really do need an updating. And as we understand it, those FCC maps will be updated before dollars flow for that. So we could be months, if not a year or more, away from dollars flowing from that federal perspective, even if the legislation ultimately passes. So that's a little more uncertain timing on the federal side. Please, though, on the state side of things, that again, that number has gone from 200 to 400 now up to $500 million on the state side, with the state designating some of their ARP funds for the deployment of broadband. Again, $400 million for deployment, and then $100 million for adoption in what's being called community anchor institutions. Think like community centers, libraries, schools, things like that, that in theory you could light up an area and folks could at least come to that building, or kind of the Wi-Fi notion, so forth and so on. The state has worked through its plans. It's been presented to an oversight board made up of different state officials. They have approved this plan, and now we are awaiting U.S. Treasury final rules on that. We anticipate this fall that the applications for that would open up sometime maybe October, November, December timeframe. So anxious to look at that. We will apply for in theory every dollar that we can underneath that program as well. Good news is the type of the packages and service that we're providing symmetrical, very high speed, unlimited, seem to be getting preference in some of the discussions about grants. And so we're excited that indeed we would be very competitive in any kind of grant application in that particular regard. And I think we've mentioned before that we would be bringing on resources that have experience in the broadband world, and especially in the grant world. Very pleased to say that we've hired Crystal Ivy, formerly with the state of Tennessee, and their broadband office there, very integral in these programs at the state for a long time now. Crystal actually started Monday. We're very proud and tickled to have her as part of our staff, and she's already providing great value in that she helped me with this slide. So we're very tickled that she's part of this team, and feel fortunate to have such a strong resource as part of KUB.
Hey, Jamie, two things. Number one, Crystal was a great hire for us to tell if she's going to come back next week, and then we'll clap. But until then, we're going to hold off.
That's right. I know it. That's right. Yeah.
And the other thing is, what do you think? I know it'll be months for the federal dollars. For the state dollars, are we talking weeks? Are we talking months as well?
I think that once the U.S. Treasury approves final rule, I anticipate that once that final rule comes out, there'll be I guess you'd say an education period for the providers, and then applications can start. I anticipate 30, 60 days, hopefully, is when we hear, is what our knowledge base is, but we're kind of left in a little bit of lurch. But the state's ready to go. The state of Tennessee is not the holdup, is again, because these are federal dollars in part, the U.S. Treasury has final say over the rules, but I don't think we anticipate any issue with that. It's just, I guess, a process. So I would hope that our application for where we will make multiple applications for multiple areas to see which of those areas we get. So a lot of dollars in the broadband space right now at both a federal and state level. So even other federal dollars other than the $65 billion that has been proposed. And so, again, most of those are for what we would consider overlapped to these state programs. So my hope is the rules on the federal dollars broaden that horizon a little bit, either through correction of the maps or raising the standard off of that 25.3 for broadband. If you raise that standard up, then that means more areas in our service territory could very well be eligible for grants.
Thank you.
Mark, I've got a financial question, and I know that's a real surprise that I'm asking this.
That's good.
She wants to know if her bill will come out on the same day every month.
Tiffany?
I know as far as your planning is concerned, that these dollars are not a part of the plan as it exists.
As far as potential grants, that is correct.
But let's say that we get to next year, and we're in our budget cycle in April or May of next year. Do you anticipate that the timing would be such that it might change our financial planning depending upon what materializes with these grants?
It certainly could, and it would depend upon the magnitude of the grants. And I know we've talked before when we were discussing the 3% rate increases, that could we get if we got a grant that it was very substantive, could that modify, those rate increases? And the answer is yes, but it'll have to be substantive. But the answer to your question is yes. We would certainly take that into consideration to the extent we have some certainty on what we're going to get and when we would get it.
But that's a subject really and truly for next year.
That's correct.
Other questions? So looking ahead, we'll continue then. I think the next question will be, well, where are you going next? And so we'll continue to work on it. Yeah. What have you done for me lately? We'll continue to define phase 2 and 3 using those existing guideposts, information that's going to come at us, feedback from the community. The good news is a lot of research has been done even here locally. Again, with the school system, with the chamber looking at this data, we're starting to understand and continue to get a clearer picture of where we think the need is. And so part of it is an effort to determine who needs it first, and part of it's just an urgency to get going and get out there. But we want to be sure that folks know where we're at with this. We'll be as transparent as we possibly can. We want to set timing expectations for the customers. Our hope is, and an expectation is, and we're going to deliver on this, is that you'd be able to authenticate as a KUB customer, you'd be able to authenticate to a website, find out what phase you're in. The information may be you're in phase 1, it'll be sometime between the next 24 months. It might be that, hey, you're not in this phase, check back for more information. But indeed, we want to be sure that folks kind of understand where we're at. in that particular regard. So more information to come on that front. But we know that folks are interested, they're excited about this, we are too. And so we know that's the obvious question is when am I going to be eligible for this? So, but more to come.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
And I do get hit up everywhere I go. when you starting, so I hear it often. So I'm going to start going into hiding. Commissioners, I do want to introduce you to Trina Gallman. She is going to give you a wonderful presentation on our teamwork program. She's part of our community relations department and has been involved in teamwork for many years. So, Trina.
Thank you, Gabe. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am excited to present on the teamwork program today. I will begin sharing a little bit about the program's history. Teamwork began in 1995 as a partnership with Austin East Magnet High School. Former KUB Commissioner Clifford Ross, who helped found the program, wanted to introduce inner-city students to KUB and the careers associated within the organization. The program was designed to give students, high school juniors, the skills necessary to be successful in the workplace. So from January through May, students attend classroom sessions where they learn money management, time management, communication skills, diversity awareness, and the list goes on. They also participate in a community service project as well as a team building exercise. After they successfully complete those classroom sessions, students are given an opportunity to interview with KUB and business partners. To date, nearly 450 students have successfully completed the teamwork program. This year, we had 10 students to complete the program. The 2021 teamwork class persevered despite many challenges: pandemic, virtual fatigue, gun violence within their community. All of these things had an impact on program participation. Although this group was a small group, they were mighty. They were determined, they were committed. They did exactly what we asked them to do in the process. When we asked the students to come up with a virtual community service project, they exceeded our expectation. They created the My Life Matters PSA to speak out against gun violence. This PSA was aired on WATE and featured at a school board meeting. While this has been a unique year for our program, we've made some improvements along the way. In 2016, a team was formed to come up with some ways to improve the teamwork program. Some of those improvements included just simply doing a better job with promoting the program to students at the school. Also, we did some enhanced training with the mentors. We also created opportunities for students and mentors to come together prior to that summer work experience so that they would establish and build relationships. But we also were intentional about catching feedback. Again, we started doing evaluation surveys at the end of each class session. We also did exit surveys at the end of the summer work experience. Again, we wanted to ensure that we were including or we were effective in our programming. We also were intentional about staying connected to our top performers. Again, we created opportunities or allowed opportunities for those students to come back over the winter break as well as the following summer. So now we're at a place we are ready to expand. Our plans for expansion include offering the program to additional high schools. In January, we will offer the teamwork program to Austin East, Fulton, and Central. So you're probably wondering, how do you plan to expand? So we're planning to offer classroom sessions at a centralized KUB location to 40 students across all schools. Classroom sessions will be offered on a compressed schedule to include Saturday sessions and student holidays. One thing that we're really excited about is introducing KUB and the program to students prior to their junior year. So our plan is to go over to the schools and talk about KUB careers, but also offer opportunities for students to come and job shadow here at KUB. More enhancements include engaging community partners. Again, we're taking on more students, so we're gonna need additional businesses, to offer that summer work experience for our students. We're excited about our partnerships, and they include First Utility District, Fresenius Medical Care, the Knoxville Chamber, which we have an existing partnership with, TVA. Again, we already partner with TVA on different programs, and West Knox Utility. Another thing that I am extremely excited about is we're gonna focus more on staying in contact and connected to top performers. We're gonna find ways or focus on ways to recruit and retain them through internships and, of course, into full-time employment. Jared Kyle is one of the ways that we are staying in contact and connecting with students. Jared Kyle was part of the 2019 Teamwork Program. Jared had an interest in engineering. During his summer work experience, we placed Jared in the engineering department. Jared's mentor basically said, he gets it. He understands engineering. He has absolutely been one of the best students that I've mentored in this program. So we are most definitely excited about that. Jared was able to come back and work over the winter break and then the following summer. Because Jared attended the university or attends the University of Tennessee in engineering, we were able to place him in a student worker position. He has successfully completed his first year at UT, and because of that, we were able to offer him the teamwork internship. That is a new component to the program that comes with a benefit of a stipend. Again, we want to attract and retain students, top performing students who have an interest in KUB careers to our organization. This is one way that we're able to do that, but also offer assistance to them while they are attending school. Jared is here with us today.
Where's Jared?
And Jared had this to say about our organization. They have my best interest at heart. Kaylin Jones is another way that we are staying in contact and connected for recruitment purposes. Kaylin was also a part of the 2019 teamwork class. Kaylin actually worked in underground construction when he was a team worker. Kaylin decided to go off to school. After one semester, Kaylin decided that he wanted to come back home and obtain a full-time job. So he reached out to KUB. And because Kaylin was a top performer, because we were able to bring him back over the winter break, the summer break, his mentor spoke really well about him, we wanted to find an opportunity to retain Kaylin. So we were able to place Kaylin in the utility apprenticeship program. With this program, we're able to retain those who have potential, but maybe have a little bit of work experience and help them grow into a KUB career. Kaylin is here with us today as well. And this is what Kaylin had to say about our organization. They helped me to develop my talent. KUB was a stable organization, and they are people that I trust. So I wanted to pause here for just a second just to talk about the picture. This is a picture of Kaylin, and Kaylin is actually speaking to this year's teamwork class. So Kaylin was able to talk about his teamwork experience, but also talk about the job that he is currently doing at KUB. He was actually demonstrating some of the features on his KUB work truck. And I literally teared up because the students were hanging off of Kaylin's every word. This was like an opportunity. This basically was the program coming full circle. This is us providing training, mentorship, and an opportunity to provide employment to someone who has been a top performer within our program. I've shared a little information about the program's history, some of the improvements that we've made. I've talked a little bit about how we're going to expand, but I would like to leave you with one of our new promotional videos. This is a video that we plan to use to attract new students to the program. Please enjoy the video. Teamwork is a program designed to give high school juniors the skills and competencies necessary to succeed in the workplace. Students are going through classroom trainings where you have subject matter experts or professionals coming in, training them in the appropriate topics. In order to participate in the Teamwork program, students must be a high school junior with a 2.5 GPA or higher. Once team workers successfully complete classroom sessions, they get an opportunity to interview for their summer work experience. After interviews, they are selected and hired into the career areas of their interests. Teamwork has endless opportunities for students. If you're interested in construction, IT, graphic design, healthcare, the list goes on, there is an opportunity for you within this program. Team workers and mentors attend the Blount County Ropes course, and it's an opportunity to network, to learn, and to discover each other outside of a classroom setting. Teamwork is more than just getting a job, but it is about learning workplace expectations and learning skills, competencies, and traits that you will be able to take with you throughout life. Join Teamwork and experience the real world. That concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Trina, I have had the opportunity over a number of years that I've been a commissioner to interact with this program, and I just want to compliment you and your team. I've seen an evolution in the students, and I try to always come to their presentations at the end of the year because it's so refreshing to see what these young people have learned, and I think this is a great recruitment tool for future employees, and I just want to commend you for the work you've done and tell you that I think you've the new program, the super teamwork program is going to be a challenge, but I think it's a great thing, and KUB is a special community partner, and I don't know that other industries, other employers really invest in the communities as we do, and it's kind of a secret, really and truly, because it's not, I don't think, well known, and the young people that have gone through the program, like these two gentlemen with us today, are a testament to the program works, and we're seeing a lot of potential developed and keeping some of these great young people in our community.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Jarrett, Kaylin, congratulations. You're a great reflection on the program. I also have somebody very close to me, our operations manager at the Alliance for Better Nonprofits, is proud to say that she is both a graduate of the TeenWorks program and the University of Tennessee, where she got an English degree. So I benefit from the TeenWorks program every day in my office. So, all right.
I was
Other
going to
comments?
say,
Yeah.
yeah, the only thing is that these masks can hide my smile. I smile through the whole thing, and so thank you for your hard work.
Yep.
I mean, this is really something that, like Commissioner Herbert said, is a secret. You know, I think that this video is awesome, and it's going to help show the work that you're doing and to recruit other people. And I'm so thankful that other students are going to be able to benefit from this program. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to echo what those two said. Great job, gentlemen. Great to see you. Leslie, Trina, you all team, you do such a great job. So again, this makes me so proud to be affiliated with this organization, knowing the work that we do in our community, and teamwork is absolutely one of those signature events. So congratulations, and thank you all for all you do. I'll see you back there, Leslie. Thank you, Trina.
Great.
Thank you, Commissioners. Also, I want to point out, in your packet, you have this, it's a really bright red insert that's in the back of your packet. That's also a little pamphlet they put together, just sort of gives you some more faces and names and stories. So if you want to look at that at your leisure, that's a very good, well put together document. Thank you, Trina. Next up, Commissioners, I want to introduce Brooke Sinclair, Director of Construction. She's going to give you an update on another award we received from the American Public Gas Association. They're part of their SOAR program. So thank you, Brooke.
Thank you for that introduction, Mr. Bolus. So the American Public Gas Association is a not-for-profit nationwide association focused on those public and community-owned utilities like KUB. They have a little over 730 gas utilities that are in their association. That's across 38 states. And their main role is really to advocate for us in the legislature and other places like that, but they do several other things as well to educate us and kind of move utilities forward in areas like safety, operational, reliability, technology. And one of the ways that they do that is by creating awards like the System Operational Achievement Recognition Award, SOAR for short. So the SOAR Award is a 3-year award and actually has 4 main areas of evaluation that we look at. And the first one is system integrity, and that is really focusing on safe operation and all those capital projects that we talk about, those operations and maintenance activities, anything that is coming to the board for those bigger projects. That's what's feeding into that system integrity piece. System improvement is just that normal overall continuous improvement year over year, and it's looking at things like, are you using data to drive your decisions? Are you with the industry? Are you with your peers and doing industry best practice activities? Are you looking at innovative tools and equipment for your utility? That third piece is for employee safety, and that's going to be your typical, are we providing policies, procedures, equipment, materials, PPE, all those things are important for employee safety. And the last area that is evaluated is workforce development. So we're looking at things like recruitment and how are we growing and retaining folks, but we also look in this award at satisfaction of our employees. So in 2018, we submitted our first application for a SOAR award, and we won silver. We were extremely excited about silver first time out, but then we started thinking, well, that is still just a B. So, just like the Olympics, we were focused on gold for 2021, and that's really where we put our efforts there. So, and really the point of an award like this for any of our systems is to just really press ourselves to kind of move forward. What's next for us? What are we going to do to make our system safer or better? In the meantime, though, APGA made some pretty significant changes to their application process, and they decreased the number of questions, which we were excited about, but then that made the points much more difficult to obtain. So we had a pretty impressive team, and you can see part of those folks here from our human resources area, engineering, regulatory compliance, and safety to pull all this information together, because it's actually an 8-page rubric of about 100 questions that we will have to compile and provide information to. So we had 2 areas that were added to the process, which we were pretty excited about, and that was diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as community involvement. 2 big things for KUB. But we had several areas that were existing that were expanded, and those are the section that you see below, like your succession planning, supportive economic development, what are you doing for your environmental programs, how's your financial stability, and then whether or not you've implemented a pipeline safety management program. So we were actually the first group of applicants to submit under this new expanded rubric, so we weren't really sure where we were going to land, but our team did a pretty tremendous job to make sure that we did get gold for 2021. Wow. And just to give you just a few numbers, so that's 730 plus public utilities in APGA. We are one of 14 that have gold currently. We are one of 3 that have gold under this new expanded rubric. So pretty big deal for our system. We did score 99 that still troubles us, but that was nothing to do with, our systems or integrity management. It was really where do we play in the space of research for natural gas industry. So that's something we'll take a look at over the next couple of years and see where we land with that. I can't say enough awesome things about our employees. You hear those things all the time. Having a great system is one thing, but having employees that care about what we do every day and making sure that they put the work in to get these kinds of achievements is just typical for our KUB folks. So, and with that, I will take questions. It is gold. It looks very gold.
That's incredible. It really is incredible. That makes, when you look at the numbers, you really have to be the best of the best to get this award, and so congratulations to the whole team.
All right, thank you, Brooke, for that. I'll finish up the meeting today with just, as far as my part. In your packet, you have a little card that looks like this. It's the annual Environmental Stewardship Report. If you flip it over, it's got a QR code. Take a picture of that anytime and look at the report. It's pretty impressive. I just want to have a few comments about it. We appreciate what the board does with us and leads us down this path of challenging us on what things we do in the environmental stewardship projects and initiatives. So thank you for that. We talk about weatherization a lot in this report because we've done over 1,800 homes so far, and we have plenty more planned as far as our weatherization. And we do a lot with electric vehicles. As you know, we're the first in the business to do the charger rebate. We still get a lot of credit for that. And you'll see throughout this whole presentation a lot of firsts. KUB is leading the way. And I was I had the luxury of being at an event right before this one where Knoxville is getting 18 buses, all electric buses. They had 2 already in today, and we were helping them with the chargers and getting all that set up. So we got a lot of great partnerships with TVA, with the city of Knoxville, with CAT, with others, and it's just impressive what our folks are doing. I give credit to a lot of Mike Bowen and his staff and folks doing that. He's not here today, but we are looking at all the ways we can just still keep literally plugged in to those programs. So look at that later on. Like I said, trying to be environmentally sound with not having to print off a big novel for you all. So please look at that later. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll be glad to get back to you on those. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Chair.
I do have one comment. I know that we are looking at a lot of initiatives related to solar, and we all know that we're all committed to the kinds of things that are going to make that a technology that helps the environment and through us. I had a kind of an insight recently. As much as I am for all people who want to put solar panels on the tops of their homes to generate, the stuff that we're doing in the big picture, the creation of the solar farm, all of that is going to make a bigger difference in our environment than we ever will, one house at a time, with the individual effort. So again, I applaud anybody who wants to put solar panels on their house, but I also applaud us because the kinds of things that we're doing, I can't wait to see that big solar facility from the interstate. We're really making a difference. And are we moving as quickly as we can? I think we're moving as quickly as we can. Do we have a long way to go? We do. And because Mother Earth is talking back to us right now, and she ain't happy. But I'm really proud of our environmental efforts, and I congratulate the team for your leadership. Okay, we have one more piece of business. We have Commissioner Simpson Brown's the chair of our nominating committee, and she has a report for us.
Good afternoon. The nominating committee received 19 applications for the commissioner term beginning in January 2022. The next step is for the committee to conduct interviews, and those are tentatively scheduled for October the 7th. Pursuant to the city charter, at least 5 candidates will be submitted to the mayor, and we will nominate those candidates at our next month's meeting. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Do we have speakers signed up? Thank you. We have one speaker today, Mr. Minot. You have 5 minutes to make your comments, and the timer is on the projection screen that you can keep an eye on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're high tech. Yeah, if you like.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Nice to see you all today. I'm Kent Minot. I live at 311 West Glenwood Avenue. And I want to comment today on the Percentage of Income Payment Plan, or PIP. You probably all know PIP is a utility affordability plan in which payments are based on a capped percentage of household income. At issue here is the idea that weatherization is the best strategy for addressing unaffordable bills. Now, this has been the message of KUB staff, and it's been repeated in discussions about energy burden, and also used to persuade us that there's no need for a percentage of income payment program. Now, I want to be clear about the position of the Sierra Club and Knoxville Water and Energy for All. Weatherization works. It reduces utility bills and climate emissions, makes homes more comfortable, and improves the health of people living in the house. We love it. But while weatherization works in so many ways, weatherization alone cannot turn an unaffordable bill for a poverty customer into an affordable one. 4 reasons why not. Impoverished households usually rent rather than own their own homes. There's no guarantee that they will enjoy the long-term benefits of weatherization. There's a long waiting period for weatherization programs. Average cost savings from weatherizations are not enough to bring the electric and gas portions of the bill down to 6% of income. Now, here's the thing. 100% of households whose incomes are at or below 150% of poverty receive an unaffordable bill from KUB, virtually everybody. That means the bill takes up more than 10% of their total income. Now, citywide, 22% of Knoxville housing is occupied by this poverty group. That's more than 1 out of 5 houses. The renter and owner-occupied split within the city is 30% owner-occupied, 70% rental. In the 3 lower-income census tracts, the rate of households living in rental housing soars to 80%, 90%, 97%. Now let's imagine we live in one of these poverty households. We are really unlikely to benefit from weatherization programs. Now, when the utility bill is in the name of the renter, the landlord's not motivated to bear the cost of weatherizing a house on his or her own. And when landlords participate in a publicly assisted weatherization program, they need only agree to freeze the current rent for 1 or 2 years. After that, they can increase the rent or sell the house. The property is then more marketable with the added value of weatherization. And this pushes the housing beyond affordability for poverty households and fuels gentrification when the house is sold. And there is a long wait for weatherization programs. Since 2015, when Rounded Up started, an average of 92 homes per year have applied for the program. The program now has a waiting list of 1,675. At the current rate of housing unit weatherization, it would take the Rounded Up program 18 years to get through the waiting list. It would take CAC 11 years for CAC to get through its waiting list. An estimated 30,000 households in Knoxville are eligible for DOE's Weatherization Assistance Program. At the current rate of weatherization, it would take the 2 programs together more than 200 years to weatherize all these eligible homes. Finally, the average cost savings from weatherization are not enough to bring the electric and gas portions of the bill down to 6% of income for KUB's poverty customers, whose utility burden may be as high as 30%. So, let's keep on weatherizing poverty income homes, absolutely, and let's even do it faster if we can. But tie the weatherization program to PIP. Other utilities with PIP programs have targeted weatherization programs to those households enrolled in PIP with the highest energy usage to help reduce their energy consumption. We're staunch supporters of KUB's Rounded Up program, but on its own, it can't make the KUB bills of poverty households affordable. We need PIP to do that. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. We don't have any other persons signed up to speak today. Following the adjournment of this meeting, the board will have a lunch session that is open for the public to observe. This meeting is now adjourned.